Hello, my dearest audience. What a pleasant surprise to be invited here to give a presentation about practical solutions to distance learning in science. My presentation consists of 5 separate sections. First, I will have an overview of the standard model of text-based learning platforms. Google will be presented as a typical representative of this. I personally use Google services in my everyday life. Then I will explain a little bit about virtual worlds, case study of Second Life with which we have had an experimental project in our school, Sotunki Upper Secondary School. Then I'm going to give an example how to organize exams from distance. After this, some grassroots level technology examples. And the last section will be about what makes schools so resistant to change. Text-based platforms are the cornerstone of distance teaching. During the pandemic, we noticed, though, that the social interaction is very limited. It's very monotonous, grey, socially depriving. And for this reason, virtual worlds would be a good complement with text-based platforms. They support each other. This standard model of text-based learning platforms needs to contain a place where to store the documents, applications, the software which we earlier used to call computer programs to manipulate our documents, to produce them. And then we need a lesson platform, a place where to have the actual lessons. Video meeting tools, of course, they are needed and very much of use. If we compare this with Google, it matches perfectly to this standard model. I'm going to present the services of Google only superficially, but if you want a deeper look, YouTube is full of tutorials for teachers. These are examples what to write to the YouTube search window. I'll start from the document storage, Google Drive. It can be found starting from the Google main page. There are those 9 tiny squares on this left photo over here. If you click them, then the drive icon appears. The drive itself looks like this. The user creates folders according to personal needs. And this is very important for us and our students to realize that practical folder organization is easy to navigate. We have to try to be logical with this. There are my biology first. Course topics in separate folders. Here are my students dissecting a rat, and here they are doing it with a Siberian fox. This is a dog-sized fox. The next thing are the applications where to edit documents, and in the same manner, when you go to the Google main page, there are those 9 squares. Behind them opens collection of applications from which to choose. There are docs, there are sheets, there are slides. Classroom and Drive themselves are among the applications, and also Gmail. Next to Google Classroom, absolute necessity to have a place where to organize distance learning lessons according to the schedule. This is also a place where I have name calls for participants. Time to time it seems that it's difficult for them to come to my lessons during the distance learning. Here we give instructions and homework and get it back, and we organize video meetings. Exams also are possible to have here. Classroom, once again, is among the application collection, and it looks like this. This is the Google Classroom main page. My geography, the first course. The timeline actually is here in the middle, either ascending or descending. And when you create lessons, you always get a program box for one individual lesson, and there is possible to give instructions for the students. Document department is here, 1 video is over there, 3 text documents in this case. Google Meet is integrated to the Classroom page. Here is the Meet link. This liity is Finnish and means join. That was all about text-based platforms. Now it's time to acclimatize us to virtual playgrounds. This is a photo of history studies. Here is a hygiene DNA model above in the sky, as you see. This is our entrance gate to the Sotunki area, to the area of our school. This is the biology department. I am there as a scale model. Bird boxes can be seen in the park. They are my personal products. Chatting with friends here in our fairy tale forest. And here teacher is giving contact teaching, but all the students, they reside at home. So these kinds of surroundings, they are needed to serve as a refreshment to the text-based platforms. They are not very good in cognitive tasks, but mostly and very much to creating togetherness, team spirit, inspirement, some magic. The text-based platforms, they are good for cognitive ballast, as I would express it. But they don't exclude each other. Unexpected learning devices, they are also very much recommended and can be created specifically for virtual worlds. First, what to take into account if you want to create a virtual world of your own for your school. Computer power is often needed in computer games, but luckily low-tech virtual worlds, just like this example of Second Life, they don't require high-end computers. Ordinary teachers and students, we can handle the worlds by learning and doing. Although it's a little bit slower way of learning, it's very effective. The costs are high. Without having some support from the Finnish National Board for Education, we wouldn't have done it. And nowadays it's important to realize that with mobile phones or tablet computers, these are useless. How to create these? Think about your best experiences as theater scenography. This could be quite a good role model. Because these are cooperative by nature, they must be reserved for different types of cooperative learning processes, different types of areas. Larger spaces, market squares, flower fields, beaches, these kinds of things for get-togethers and parties. Quite a funny thing for a school. Middle-sized empty spaces are needed for group work purposes, so that a couple of people can easily fit there and have their own peace. Secret hideries are needed for privacy. For example, tree huts, caves, magic woods, these kinds of things. And we have met some schools recreated the school buildings of their actual school, and in my opinion at least, this is the worst possible waste of time. Here are some examples of school life and these learning devices we have created. One of the best things is that you can simply make information tables where you put text or videos. Just with a couple of clicks with mouse, you can change the content. For example, orientation tracks can be created very quickly. They work in groups, that's the best way. Checkpoint tables, they have tasks, they can be of different school subjects. I have favored inheritance in this case. Tasks need to be solved to go further to the following checkpoint. Here is a scene from our history of literature, learning pathway, some magic here. And here's student counseling in the fairy tale forest of ours. Both are web browsers, but on the left one there is the home page of our school. On the right one is a place where to write down some notes. This is the hygiene area. I personally, with my own hands, created this. The highest point is on top of a watchtower, and there are virtual iPads on a round table, and the students write reports on the iPads. There are several bird boxes here around on the gene world, on the hygiene area, and contain sound files so that when you click on them, the file explains what there is to be noticed in that specific spot. Magic carpet and spin the bottle are quite a nice combination. There can be questions about the DNA and genes. I personally have music as hobby, and I have composed some songs and written lyrics to them. In this case, the lyrics are about DNA or anatomy or cell respiration or whatever. The arrow here points towards the jukebox which we had here on the dock at the seaside, and there you can choose what kind of a song fits for your needs. Here is one link to a karaoke video. I have namely made also karaoke videos of the screenshot. Here is a nerve cell clinic on a giant button, video screens with lectures, and then there is one web browser window to a text file so that the students can study. Here I myself am lecturing from one of these video screens. This is an example of an English lesson. If you later become interested, you can read it later. Spherical spaces with panorama photos are possible to create in Second Life. You just make a huge hollow ball and the inner wall of the ball is covered with a photo. This too is very easy to make. This is from my biology department's Bird Box Park, and activate it with your mouse. Sky table is one of my favorites. There are 2 chairs and 1 table, and it lifts up to the sky. The teacher pushes a button and then the students, they get to the sky. Really a perfect area for group work, and the hygiene area on the upper right corner can be seen over here. Private spaces for group work. Here a campfire in this case. Flying on a magic carpet. This is really fun. I recommend warmly. We also made a language laboratory with drill exercises on a tree hut. Here is an ancient looking radio, and when you activate it with mouse, then a sound file opens where the drills are. Oral exercise for language learners. And here once again me and my students. Here are links if you are interested about these kinds of things. These are videos where you can see live how these work. Some point of views to our project. This was extremely laborious but very joyful, so that practically all of our teachers were involved, and with lots of enthusiasm. We designed, we built with our own hands most of these devices, but luckily we got some professional help also from a company called Metaverstas. There were problems with internet connection because of the firewall settings at students' home, and we are not help desk people, we teachers. There were often problems with voice connection, so we quite soon decided to use Skype instead of the Second Life's own voice connection. But most of communication was quite plausible just by chatting in a chat screen. Our project took place around the year 2010, and we were much ahead of our time. Only under the circumstances of COVID-19 it appeared that any school would have benefited of a virtual playground like this. We desperately were in a need of social interaction and fun, and these aspects. Attending school life in real life was laborious enough for the students, so this Second Life didn't serve any kinds of real needs. But it gave us a completely new and really unexpected experience, lots of possibilities which were completely uncomparable to the ordinary ways of contact teaching. Then the third topic, how to organize exams on distance. For this purpose we have used Google Classroom. The student needs to start a screenshot video before the exam file opens and keep it on as long as the exam continues. And we have recommended these special kinds of applications for screenshots. Any one serves as long as it does the trick. Then, when the exam is finished, the student uploads the video to the Google Drive and shares it with the teacher. It is central that also the student's own face can be seen on the recording. That's the best way to be sure about the student's identity, and this is how a screenshot video looks like. If we need to double check identity, for example that we have never seen the student and he resides on the other side of the world, then we can double check the identity with an SMS message. When the student gets it and opens it, he or she shows it to the video camera. That can serve as a control that the person really is who he or she insists to be. First of all, this screenshot software has its own special interface, and that needs to be studied by the student. Something new to study once again. For this purpose we found that it was very helpful for ourselves as well as for the students when we made an instructive video about all this, so they easily could orientate themselves beforehand. Then to the fourth part, grassroots level technology. Here are my students dissecting a chicken this time. Mobile phone videos are very useful, both for learning as for giving homeworks. This is an example. You can see that there is a phone anchored with a biology book on the chair some sheets of paper with which the student explains what he or she has learned. This they upload to the Google Drive. I watch the videos. It's really nice when you put double speed on. The recordings ordinarily are about 5 minutes long. So when I watch them in double speed, I can still get an idea what they explained. This is from my video lecture where I teach evolution of jawbones, and this was made just by that method on my kitchen table. Skull bones here, analyzed by a student. Low-tech lectures can be made with this kind of material. This is my own lecture about CRISPR-Cas, which is here about to take place. Analogic material becomes digital these days very easily. It's so nice that when you draw with a pen and a paper, everything happens very quickly. Just take a mobile phone photo, upload it to the Google Drive, share as link Classroom, and there it is. Some other things there are that makes life easier when teaching from distance. A document camera is needed. An ancient web camera serves very well. There's something to draw with. We noticed during the pandemic that WhatsApp group for each separate class was really of help, because it always happened that somebody had problems with the computer. The Finnish final exams are nowadays done with computers completely, and this is how it looks. There is some excitement in the air. Now we come to the last part. During this, I'm going to consign myself to silence. This was it. I hope you enjoyed the show.